Hello, and welcome to TechBytes.io. In this episode, we're going to write a command line game with Python. The command line game we are going to create in this episode will be the ever-famous Blackjack, or 21, where you and the dealer are dealt cards and compete against each other for the higher scoring hand without going over the individual score of 21. So let's start coding. So let's go to the command line and create our file for our Blackjack application. So we're going to put this inside, figure out which directory you're going to put it in. I'm going to put it in my CLI folder. And here we'll go ahead and say touch. And we're going to call this one blackjack.py. So create blackjack.py. You can see it's right there. And then let's go ahead and open it up in our text editor. Inside our text editor, I've already put out the planning. I've already entered in the commented out planning for this game. So we're going to do the Blackjack or 21 game, and let's walk through the planning for this. So in thinking about a Blackjack game, we know that you need dealer cards, and you also need player cards. Of course, you have to deal the cards so that both the player and the dealer will have cards to use. And then we need to be able to display the cards. Now, when we're thinking about Blackjack, the common practice in Blackjack is that you only see one of the dealer's cards. So they will have both of them, but we'll only see one. So we're going to take that into account when we're planning and designing our game here. And then, of course, since it's up to the score of 21, or who has the closest score to 21, we need to be able to sum up the cards. So we'll get the sum of the dealer's cards, and we'll get the sum of the player's cards. Then we're going to need to compare both the sums of the dealer and the player. So we're going to have to compare the cumulative score of the dealer's cards versus the player's cards. And then we have the rules for the score, the rules of the game. So if the player's card sum is greater than 21, well, then it's a bust. They lose. They've exceeded the allowable score. And if the player's card sum is less than 21, then we'll give them the option to hit or to stay. Hit meaning they will get another card or be dealt another card, which will be added to the score. Or they can stay, meaning they will keep the cards that they have, not receive any more cards, and then we'll compare the sum of their scores versus the sum of the dealer's scores and see who wins. And then down here you can see if the player's sum is less than 21 and greater than the dealer's sum, then the player wins. If the player's sum is less than the dealer sum, then the player loses. All right, so now that we have our planning here and we've pretty much architected out how it's going to work, let's go ahead and code it. First, let's create our dealer cards. So both the dealer cards and the player cards will be somewhat the same as to how they're run. So we're going to name the variable dealer cards, and we're going to open it up and create an empty list. And we're just going to do the same thing with the player cards. We're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to create a variable called player cards and create an empty list for that one as well. So that way we have some place to store our cards. All right. So now we are going to need to deal our cards. So with that, we will work on the dealer cards here. Dealer cards, and we're going to use a while loop on this one. While, and do the length of dealer cards, which is our empty list at the moment, while dealer cards is not equal to 2, because we're going to deal 2 cards, right? We will have dealer cards, and we will append, and here we're going to have to import random, rand int. We're going to use rand int from random, and we will do from 1 through 11. So what did we just do here? So we took our dealer cards, which is up here, and we said while the length of our dealer cards, while the length of our list is empty, is not equal to 2, we're going to take a random integer between 1 through 11, and we're going to add it to the list. And so while it's not equal to 2, so once it gets to 2, so once we have 2 cards in there, it will stop. And then we're going to say if the length of dealer cards equals 2, then we will print dealer has, and we will put in the dealer cards. And let's see, and then we're going to need to import random into this. So let's import random. Hit Control Save. Let's check to see how our code is working so far. So let's run our program. We'll say Python, go to the command line, and Python Blackjack Pi. And there we go. So far what we've written out works out well. We can see dealer has, and it printed out a 3 and a 4. So it gave us our cards. But just like what we were talking about earlier when we were planning this out, just like in regular blackjack, you should only see the second card. So we want to make sure that we don't see the first card that the dealer has. So let's go back and make a change here. So down here where it says if the length of dealer cards equals 2, we're going to print dealer has, we're going to say an X, and then we'll put an AND symbol, and then we're going to go to dealer cards, and we're going to tell it to give us the index 1 from our list. So just as we know with a list, the indexes start at 0, so it would be for the 2 cards we would have, the index would be 0 and 1. So we're going to have the 0 card not be shown, but we're going to show the 1 card, the one that's at index 1. So let's save that and go back into the command line, run it again, and see what we have. There we go. We have dealer has X and 1. So let's do that again, and now we can see X and 2, X and 9, so it's showing us the second card. So everything's working out well there. So now we're going to work on our player cards. We want to show those. So let's write up player, and these will be our player cards. And we can make that relatively easy by just copying this, our dealer code, and we're going to put that under our player cards, and we're going to change dealer cards to player cards for each of these player cards, because it is exactly the same thing. The only difference is we want to have change this because you want to be able to see both of your cards, both the ones you have. So you have, I'll put a space, we're going to change dealer cards to player cards, and we're going to remove the index so that it shows all of the player cards. So we have the exact same code as we have for dealer cards, and what we're doing is we're taking, while there are less than two numbers inside of our list, we're adding a new random integer, a new random number between 1 to 11, and once we have at least 2 of them in there, when it's equal to 2, then we will show those. So let's give that a shot now. Go to the command line, let's first save this, then go to our command line, we'll run this again, and there you can see the dealer has a, we don't know, an X and a 9, and you have a 4 and a 7. So everything is working out just fine. Okay, so we have dealt our cards. We have displayed our cards. We showed that worked. Oops, let's put that just so we remember. We'll put it right here. So here are our cards. They're kept here for both the dealer and the player. We've dealt the cards. We've displayed the cards. That's done with these two chunks of code here. And now we need to sum up the cards. So we need to sum up what the dealer has, and we need to sum up what the player has. Alright, so let's start with our dealer. So we'll go to the sum of the cards. I'm going to say, we'll make an if statement here. If the sum of dealer cards equals 21, then we will print dealer has 21 and wins. End. And then we will do an elif. Oh, this isn't lining up right, so we better make sure that's all good. Oops. Alright. So, and then we'll do an elif. Sum of dealer cards, and we're going to say is greater than 21. Then we will print dealer has busted. End. Alright, so this takes care of our dealer. So let's do our player now. So with our player, this is where we really have to compare. So we're going to calculate the sum of the player's cards, and then we're going to also compare them against the dealer's sum so that we can get the, well, follow the rules of the game and find out who wins and who does what. So let's see here. We're going to use, this one we'll use a while statement. We'll say while the sum of player cards is less than 21, because remember they also have to be able to hit and stay. So for the actions of the game, they have to be able to decide whether they should get more cards or just keep the cards they have and take the chance against the score of the dealer. So we're going to call this one action. We're going to call this variable action taken. We're going to allow for, we need an input, and we need a string input of, we're going to ask the question, do you want to stay or hit? Just like you're playing regular old blackjack at the casinos. So with that, we're going to say if action taken, which will be what they have typed in, and we're going to say if it was hit, we want to be able to give them another card, right? So we're going to say player cards, and we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to append a random integer, random dot rand int, and we're going to do the same thing, 1 through 11. And then we will print out what they have. So we'll print you have, or no, you now have, right? Because they are getting more cards. You now have a total, we'll even calculate the total up for them. You now have a total of, and we will add on the string of the sum of player cards. Oops. And then we're going to continue on the sentence with a from these cards. And then we will list which cards they have. There. Then we will put in the else portion of the statement. So else, we will print the dealer, oops, the dealer has a total of, and we'll make sure we put that space there. And then we will add on the string of the sum of the dealer cards. And then we will put in with, and we will tell them which cards the dealer has as well. So then we'll say dealer cards. All right, so that will take care of the dealer portion. Let's see if we can get some more space here. All right, and now we will also want to print out what the player has. So we want to have the results. We'll have you have, oops, let's make sure we put that in quotes. You have a total of, and then we'll space plus, oops, we will add plus, do the same thing, string of the sum of the player cards, and we will do the same thing with the with. Make sure you put your spaces so that things don't ram together. And actually, and then we'll just do player cards, right? All right. Now, so what do we have here? So let's walk through real quick. We have while the sum of the player cards are less than 21. So we're seeing the cards that we have received, and we're calculating, and they're less than 21. We're going to offer the player an action. So we're going to say, do you want to stay or hit? So do they want to keep the cards they have, or would they like to be dealt another card to add to their score, right? And so if the action is taken as hit, so if they say hit, then they will be dealt another card. So the player's card we will append, we'll add on another random integer between 1 through 11 to the list. So they will have started with 2 numbers at 0 and 1 on the index, and they will receive a third number, which will go in number 2 on the index, and so they will receive another card. And then we will tell them the total of their cards, the total sum, and we will tell them what cards they have. Now, if they don't say hit, so that means they stay with the cards that they have, we will then print that the dealer has a total of, we will sum up the dealer's cards and add that into the dealer has a total of the total sum of their cards with and show which cards they have. And then we will also tell the result of the player cards, and then we will compare the sums. So now we'll need to compare the sums of the dealer and the player's cards. So we'll say if dealer cards is greater than the sum of player cards, we, there we go, need to print that the dealer wins, right? Because if he has a higher value and it is less than 21, then the dealer wins. Dealer wins. All right. And then we will turn it into an else for obviously if the sum of the player cards is is greater than the sum of the dealer cards, we'll print that you win. You win. And then we'll have put in a break. Right? Okay, so we've dealt out the dealer's cards, we've dealt out the player's cards. We have offered them actions to take to hit or stay. We have compared based off of their actions of hitting or staying with their cards. We've determined whether the dealer or the player has won. And now we want to go outside of this and say if the sum of the player cards is greater than 21, then we will print, let's see, we'll say you busted. Busted. Dealer wins. And then we will make it an elif and say elif the sum of player cards equals 21. Then you automatically win. So print you have Blackjack. You win. $21. Alright, so let's hit Control Save, see what we have. We have now completed everything. We've walked through our entire architecture here, our entire planning phase. So we have if the player's card sum is less than 21, we've offered to hit or stay. If the player option stays, then we compare the values. If the sum is less than 21, then the player wins. And if the player's sum is less than the dealer, all right. So let's try this out. Let's run it in our command line and see what we have. So let's see. Make sure you've saved your Blackjack file, and then we're going to type in Python blackjack.py, and let's take it for a test drive. All right. So the dealer has X and 2, so he has a 2 that we know of, and you have a 5 and a 1. Do we want to hit or stay? So we only have a total of 6, so we're going to hit. All right, so now we have a total of 13 from the cards of 5, a 1, and a 7. I'm going to hit again. Now we have 17. Now we're pushing our luck. We already dealt 4 cards here. We have a 5, a 1, a 7, a 4. Well, let's stay, see what we have. And the dealer has a total of 6. And we have a total of 17, so we win. Congratulations, that's awesome. We built out our Blackjack game and set to run in our command line. Congratulations on all the hard work and coding that you've run through. Thanks for joining me this episode, and congrats on completing your new technological endeavor. Keep on coding. I'll see you next time on TechBytes.io.